Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing today? Hello, hello, hello. uh, well, here we are again. Once again in Blender, animating things and stuffs and things, as you would do, and whatnot. Wow, I am. I'm a little off my game today, aren't I? Yeah. So, kind of just a recap. Yesterday we we started and we finished a couple of things actually. So the biggest thing was that we figured out what animations we need to create, and we came up with a number of about 40 of them, which seems like a lot, but a lot of them can be done in like 30 minutes to an hour. So I figured that I should be able to get all these animations done within a few months. And so we're back at it again. We finished making the jump forwards up and the jump forwards down, which is basically just when he's jumping up, he has one animation, and when he's like falling back down, he's doing a different animation. The next one that I'm going to be working on is OG Man Jump Backwards Up. Which is basically the same thing, except instead of jumping forwards, he's going to be jumping backwards. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with that. Now, for these jump animations, I'm not really using much of a reference, so to speak. And the only reason for that is because I do think that I can eyeball this pretty dang well. At least more or less. So what I need him to be doing is to be looking away from his target, kind of like that. Also, I just realized I have the rest of these keyframes that are going to want to go back to the original pose, so I'm going to take those out. Let's see. Now, another thing of note, these animations do not need to be good. They need to be functional. The only reason that I am creating my own animations instead of like looking some up or something is because I am wanting specific animations that kind of go with like what I'm trying to do and whatnot. So for the purposes of this, I really only needed to change the foot and torso positions. The hand positions, as always, can probably stay more or less the same since this was based off of the up. If anything, because of momentum, I'm actually going to bring this hand down a bit. This hand down and a bit over, not too much. And then bring this hand back. A little more in. Make this bicep go a bit more out. Yeah, there we go, maybe. What would it look like if I had this in? A lot of times when I am struggling with like what pose to do or whatever, I usually try to pose it out myself, which is a little hard to show because I'm using an avatar right now. At some point, I want to get this thing called leap motion, which is basically this device that allows you to track your hand motions. And it's kind of like a secondary camera, and a lot of programs are able to use it. And it would be nice. There are two problems with that, though. One is my microphone is actually like right in front of me, where my hands would gesture. So a lot of times the hand motions would probably get lost. And if I moved the microphone out of the way, it would either not sound as good or it would get in the way of my face to the camera, which I would argue is a little more important. Okay, so we've done the first and the last frames, which are obviously going to be the same. Now what we're going to do is a little trick that 2D animators like to call boiling, where you take the same pose and you just vary it ever so slightly. And for my purposes, I'm going to take this foot and just rotate it down just like barely imperceptibly. But then if I play it back, you'll notice it's actually moving quite a bit. And actually, that's a little too much. Hold on. I have to wonder. Yeah, okay, I came into this problem yesterday, but for whatever reason, the right leg is already wobbling a bit, and I don't know why. There is no keyframes to make this wobble like it is. It just does that whenever I have the same keyframe in between these two. So I honestly have no idea. It'll be fine whenever I create like a new animation that doesn't use any of these keyframes, but it's still gonna be tricky. Actually, hold on. I might be able to fix it now that I'm thinking about it. If I delete that and delete those, and then just select this, select all, insert a keyframe for the whole character, and, well, okay, I would need this to be under jump backwards up. Okay, now let's try it. There we go. And then if I copy this keyframe to the last, there we go. Okay, figured that one out. Yeah, so I figured that it was some hidden thing that I didn't like understand or whatever. So if I just reset everything, and luckily it keeps the pose that you were on if you do that, then it should be fine. And it was. Just a little bit. There we go. Okay. That's great and all. But I forgot to do it on this frame. You know, instead of rotating these, let's just move them a tad. Okay. It literally needs to be like a pixel's worth in order to seem natural, which is crazy to think about. Okay, and I somehow landed on frame 6, and we're going to do the same thing with the arms here. Just enough that it's barely perceptible. Oh, and see, that's way too much. I need to go back and re-edit that one. That should be fine. Nah, it's still too much. Okay, let's go out here. Do that. Go out here. Do that. And just rotate the neck ever so slightly. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, that's fine. Once again, the reason why I'm doing this is because of air resistance. Whenever you're flying around, jumping around, and stuff like that, things don't like to stay in the same place because of wind and whatnot. Okay, so we have that. Let's save the project and save this animation. And let's move on to a new one. Yeah, this will work. OG man underscore jump backwards underscore down. Okay. Now for this one, the only real difference that we should need is the feet being just up a bit more, maybe. Well, let's put them back where they were. If I was jumping up like that, I would want to put at least one of my feet down and ready. Gosh, I gotta stand up for this one. Okay, so like you jump backwards, right? Gosh, I'm doing like a little tiptoe dance or something. Okay. That should be. Yeah. Okay. So we need this foot actually to be back. Oh. Okay. Something's going on with that. This up a bit more, maybe. Nope, not that one. I think I should put these arms up a bit more. It does still kind of look like he's jumping forwards. That's a little better. That's better, actually. Sure, let's go with that. Okay, now we'll do a bit of boiling. Oh, right. Go. It might not look like I'm doing anything at all when I do this, but I am, if ever so slightly. It's just supposed to be a little motion. Okay, that one looks good. So one thing that I did realize, actually, as I was just animating this now, is they don't exactly have an animation for when they land. Like, okay, so whenever the player jumps, there really shouldn't be an animation for the character jumping, and if there is, it should only last like 3 frames maybe. Because most of the time, by the time that you input the jump, you should already be jumping. Because most of the time, the player wants it to be like an instantaneous thing, not a like, I press the button, so now I'm going to jump kind of thing. If the player presses the jump button then they should be in the air when they press that button. And obviously, you can't predict when they're going to press the button. So the best thing that you can do is speed up the process of them being on the ground to them being in the air by just a couple of frames. And normally that's done by not having frames of them jumping. A classic example of what not to do actually is considered one of the worst fighting games of all time, and that is good old Shaq Fu. And one of the reasons it's considered one of the worst games of all time is because it has very realistic animations. And you might think, oh, well, a game has realistic animations, it can't be that bad. But the thing is, anytime that you jump, it takes forever for you to actually get into the air, and then whenever you land, it takes, another a long time for you to actually be able to do anything else. So jumping in that game is actually especially risky, and it just makes it a terrible fighting game. And everything else, I mean, there's a lot of other things bad about it, but that's one of the biggest things. It just has very realistic timings on certain things, and whether you like it or not, video games are not supposed to replicate realism. They are supposed to give escapism to the player, and you can do that in a realistic setting, but that doesn't mean you have to make the game realistic per se. Anyway, so moving on from that. Anyway, this one's good, but what we need to do now is make separate animations of them landing, which is going to be a bit tricky. I might need to look up a reference for it, but yeah. For now, let's go back to jump forwards down, and let's copy this last frame, create a new one, rename this forwards land, take out these three, and let's extend this out just a bit because I don't know exactly the timing for this necessarily. Okay, so he's jumping forwards. Okay, we're going to try to eyeball this at first, but it might not be the best idea. So, okay. What we need first, let's go to, where did I put it? Long punch forwards. So this is considered our idle pose, at least what I'm considering it to be. So this is the pose that we need to go back to after all of any unique animation. Sorry about that. My grandmother just texted me and she was like, "This is what your stimulus check is gonna look like," and I'm like, "I already received it." Just gonna put that on vibrate for now. Okay, so this is the one that we want, so we're gonna take that, go back to jump forwards land, and this is going to be our last frame, and I'm just gonna put it on frame 20 because why not? I don't think this should be 20 frames, and if I need to slow down, I obviously can, but for now, that's what that's going to be. Okay, so we need to somehow get from that to that without, we're not just going to do this animation because that's silly. There needs to be some kind of momentum to it. So the next frame that we need, I'll say on frame 6, but I'm going to put this as constant so that, okay, I'm going to put both as constant. There we go. That way it stays the same until frame 20. Okay, so for this one, we need him to finally land. I want to put him in a pose where he is most down onto the ground. So let's take the hips, bring them down by a lot. His feet do need to be flat. Let's bring that up to the front here. If you haven't figured it out, these circle things determine like the angle of the legs, which I find to be kind of interesting. It's not something that I've really seen before. Okay. Let's bend him forwards a bit more. Have him be looking up more. Let's make sure that his arms aren't getting in the way, so to speak. Okay. So we want to go from this pose to this pose to this pose. That's kind of our flow, so to speak. So let's turn these back into Bezier to kind of see what the computer does. Okay. That's not bad, but what needs to happen about here, okay. I'm going to turn them back into constant. Okay, so the first thing is the feet need to hit the ground first. So let's bring the hips down about right there. And then flatten out the feet. And have them just be touching. Yeah, because really everything else should mostly be the same due to the law of like inertia or whatever. And this is something that's very big in animation and is something that, you know, I still need to keep in mind whenever I do things like this, where, you know, an object that is at rest will stay at rest until another force acts upon it, and an object in motion will tend to stay in motion unless another force acts upon it. It's a very scientific thing, but when put into animation, what that means is that everything about this body is going to stay the same until another force, such as the ground, acts upon it, or, you know, hits it. So, which is why the first thing to change in this pose is not the torso and the arms, but the legs and the feet. And I'm just bringing this foot down because, you know, he's getting ready to land with both feet. So then about right here, we're going to bring the hips down even further. I'd say to about there. And finally, this foot is going to get some landing. And right about here, we're going to have a halfway point between the two. No. Solid. Ooh. I can have them rendered. Interesting. That's not what I want, but... Okay. Let's go back. Control-Shift-Z. G, Z. Bring him down to about there. And let's just start to move these guys down a bit. Yeah, there we go. So he's coming, then he lands like that. Okay, let's put this into Bezier motion. Okay, I think I like this standing up motion, so to speak. I do not like what this foot does because it just slides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an in-between right here, because that's kind of in between the two of these. Or actually, let's put it here. And I'm just going to lift it up a tad. There we go. Let's move this keyframe over a bit. There we go. Okay. Now this is obviously really slow, but we're not really caring about speed right now. We're just caring about the various poses that we put them in. I'm going to make... Okay. First off, I'm going to make this frame constant and this frame constant. Okay, I'm just going to make them all constant because for whatever reason it doesn't like to do that. Okay, and I'm going to create a frame in between here because he has just landed, so it's going to be a similar frame, but everything's going to have traveled just a little bit farther. There we go. Okay, now from here, we'll want to move these closer to the end. Let's go ahead and make whole keyframes for each of these frames, just so there's no mess up. Oh, okay, that actually... Wait, go back, go back. I think I need to make these busier and then do what I was wanting to. Ah, I see what's happening. Okay, so... So we have a keyframe for the foot on this frame and this frame, but we need another one here. So let's make these constant again. And then create a keyframe for the whole character here. And now let's return them to busier. There we go. That's more like it. What happens with the foot here? It kind of slides. You see that? I'm gonna go into the graph editor for this one. Okay, we're looking for the Y value of the location. Yep. Would you look at that? Goes down. Okay, so I need these two to just stay down here. There we go. That's much better. Okay, so the falling animation needs to be a lot quicker. Know that for sure. So we're actually going to just select everything. Move it to about there. Okay. This needs to be tighter. This also needs to be tighter. There we go. That's much more like it. Okay, and now let's send this on frame 12. Save it, and move on. So, okay, the next thing that we're going to do is create backwards down landing. So we're just going to new action, rename down.001 to just land. And we're going to start with that pose and then end not on jog cycle. I'm going to end with this pose. I'm going to employ very similar strategies to the previous one. So I'm going to be referencing it a lot. Okay, so I'm actually going to take out my notepad for this. So we got frame 5. Oh, my bad. Okay. We've got frames 3, 5. And then we're kind of looking for... Okay, so frame 7 is the one where you land on. And then frame 8 is just extending that a bit. And then frame 10 is the in-between for standing up. And then, of course, frame 12. Okay. So first thing we need to do is make both of these constant. That way we're not messing around with anything too crazy. Change my camera view. Actually, let's first create... Yeah, right. We need to first create frame 8 where he lands, when he's most down. And we need it to be lower than this, so I'm thinking at about here. Right there. Alright, and this foot's going to be flat on the ground. As well as this foot. gonna bring the arms down as usual. Okay, I'm going to compare. Yeah. It's pretty similar, just the feet are placed differently. I don't want to break his ankle, so... Oh. Let's just bring it forwards a bit. I'm honestly not too sure what to do about this. I'm sitting here like, oh, normal people bend their legs like that, right? Let's just bring him up a tad. Although, didn't... Yeah, he did, but... Okay. So... I think I'm wanting to make a similar pose. The problem with that is... we'd have to move his legs in a weird way so that his hips stay the same. So I'm not sure. Okay, I'm gonna have to use my imagination a little bit for this, because this is correct, more or less. If anything, we can bend him over a little more. And we need to get from this to this. The problem is we need to actually slide his feet, which, as I did before, isn't what you're supposed to do, but it's what we gotta do for this. Okay, so for frame 3, we'll bring him down a bit. About right there, I'd say, maybe. Nope, gotta be a little farther. This foot also needs to go down some. And then on frame 5, this foot will be flat on the ground again. Like that. And we're actually going to move this foot up a bit. Then bring the waist down. Then we've got frame 7. What's frame 7? Oh, right. Frame 7 was supposed to be our main landing point, and frame 8 was supposed to be going a little further. So I'm actually going to make this frame 7, and then just make frame 8 the same thing, but a little more. So a little more down, a little more rotated. Yeah, like that. And then we need to get back to this. Ooh, this is going to be a little tricky to program, isn't it? Ugh. Because with the other one, we were just able to take a step back, but if we take a step back with this, then our hips are going to be misaligned. So we're already sliding a bit, so might as well try to work with it. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to have... Well, okay, actually, we need to... First thing we need to do is create whole character frames for each of these. Then we need to make these busier. And then let's say on frame 10, we're just gonna raise up his foot a bit. There we go. I'm just manually adjusting things right now so that when I scale the timing back down that it'll be more correct. I'm specifically watching the feet because that often okay, yeah, let's make that quicker. Yeah, it's not bad. Okay. Let's select all of this. Whoa, okay. Scale it back down to 12. There we go. What I like is that this foot here, the left foot, it has a constant motion going forwards, and which is good because low eyebrows. For some reason, VC Face doesn't want to detect my eyebrows today. I'm moving them kind of, but yeah. Okay, let's mark this back as 12. So yeah, it has a constant motion, which is good because that means whenever I go back into this, like into Unity and whatnot, more or less, I should be able to just, whenever this animation plays, to just add a constant motion going backwards. And it should work out fine. Should is the keyword there. Okay. Save. Good. let's do another jump. Let's see. We've done forwards, we've done backwards. Let's do one from the side. Sounds like fun. Okay, let's start with going back. Take out these keyframes. There we go. Now we just need to adjust this from the side. Whoop. Because it really should be a similar thing. Let's see. Okay, yeah, this is going up. So if we move this to the side, this to the side, and then we rotate both of these. And then just move them back. Yeah, just like that. Let's actually bring this arm back up and around for this. There we go. And just because I'm going to be wondering about this, I'm going to make him face a little more that way, not too much. That should work. Okay. Good. If you are curious as to why I'm copying a lot of animations, once again, this is not meant to be a good animation. It is meant to be functional animation. So a lot of these I'm going to prioritize efficiency over looking good. That will... oh goodness, excuse me. That will harm the final product, I'll admit. But the final product is not supposed to show off my animation skills. It is supposed to show off my system designing skills. And by that, I mean, like, I want to show the combat and stuff and show that I can make stuff that's, you know, interesting and all that. Yeah. I would like to be the guy that can make an indie game, but there's I mean, for one, that's a lot of work, and it's not that I wouldn't want to put in that work, but it's a lot of work with no guarantee on a good payback, and especially when I don't have a good audience online right now, it's risky. It's very risky to try to make something as big as that, take a bunch of time and possibly money and put time and effort into it, to eventually release it to the public and have it maybe make me like $50, maybe. I mean, if you didn't know, there's a mobile game that I created not that long ago, called Box Ninja, and I would say that I'm decently proud of what I made with that. However, because... Sorry, I'm just trying to be precise with this. There we go. Because I don't have an audience, I didn't sell that game much at all. So, I have ended up making absolutely no money on that game, even though it has ads on it. I have had a maximum of maybe 17 people download it, which for somebody who isn't really known on social media or whatever, that's pretty good, I'd say. Because that actually does take up people that I don't know, which, that's one of the first things that you need to do as a content creator is to try to appeal to people that you don't know. Once you do that, you'll kind of be set. Okay. So we have this. We need to rename this. Let's call it jump left underscore up. Okay. Now we're going to make a new one. Rename it to down. And really the only difference that we're going to have here is that these legs are going to be rotated the other way. Kind of. Actually, yeah, that's kind of exactly it. So I'm going to do a mirror paste. Except I do need to keep the arms the same way, so I'm gonna try something a little weird. I'm going to select, hopefully, only the bones that I want. Copy them, and then, yes! Oh, that just works. That's amazing. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. So yeah, I basically want him to jump up one side and then be able to land on the other. Nice. And then that should just overwrite that. We should be able to just copy, paste, and boil. Let's actually look at it from this angle. Okay. Rotate that a bit. Rotate that a bit. Yep. And there we go. Okay. Save. And now for the difficult one. Land. Now we're going to follow the same template as before. And I'm actually going to bring this out to 20 just to have a little more room to work with for now. I'm going to go back to LP forwards and once again copy these frames. Jump left land. Paste that at the end. Okay, so the first step that we're going to need is that when we land, the right foot needs to land behind the left foot. So this is going to have a little bit of a sliding motion similar to jumping backwards, as we've seen, of course. But it won't be too bad. And luckily the rest of him kind of just needs to rotate. So I'm going to leave the top half alone for the most part. But the first thing that we need to do, of course, is have him land. gonna be there, so I need to have his waist about around here somewhere. But the first thing I'm going to do is make these two constant. Oh, right there should be fine. You know, sometimes I really have to wonder what my roommate's doing. I mean, I know what he's doing. He's streaming on Twitch, same as me. I just find it funny. So one thing that I also just realized is we're going to have to slide these feet back to the center as well. So I'm actually going to bring this down a bit more. And then, let's see. We need to slide them over. But that should well, no. The lowest point for him should be about center. And since this is supposed to be the lowest point, we're going to have them begin to slide over. Okay. I'm also going to have this foot a little more up. Yeah, that's a good... It's very similar to landing backwards in this middle pose. The problem is we need to get there from here. So, okay. So the first frame that we need to work with is this one, where we're going to bring this down a unit and have this be touching now. Just make sure it's flat. And now the next frame, we're going to bring him down a bit more. And this is actually going to start to slide in. Yep, that's good. And this is where this foot makes contact as well. Come on, behave. Let's also move this foot a tad forwards. Okay. Also on this frame, this is where he needs to be, like, have landed. So we're going to rotate these down and a bit out. Well, more down than anything. There we go. let's make another frame on here of them just going down a little bit further. There we go. And now we'll make keyframes for full character on each of these. Make everything busier. And then right about here, we'll make another keyframe where this foot is actually stepping backwards. And there we go. Now, a couple of timing things first off. It feels like it takes a long time for them to go from this frame to this frame. So I'm going to bring those in. Good, good. Now let's speed up the recovery time. And there we go. Well, actually now the falling down process takes too long. There we go. Try to make this a bit more extreme. No, no. Okay, good. That looks good enough. And that's what we need, right? Alright, save that. Okay, and the nice thing about creating the right one is that all that we need to do is mirror these. So I wonder if there's an easy way to do that. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Blender mirror animation. Can an action be mirrored? Okay. Select keyframes, then copy to buffer button on the header, or Control C. Switch to another action, then Control V. Right click on the first frame you want to flip. Turn on auto keyframe on timeline header. Hover the mouse cursor in 3D view, hit Control C, Shift Control V to overwrite the existing action on that frame. Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I was thinking that we would have to like find a way to copy all of them over, but I forgot that you can just overwrite the current frame by pasting it again. Also, I'm going to give this a whole character frame, just real fast. Okay, so let's go back to jump left up. Select all, which is not Control A, it is just A, which is the weirdest thing. Create a new action. rename this to right_up. And then we can just select all, copy, shift paste. Copy, shift paste. Maybe. No. Okay, hold on. Whole character. There we go. Okay, now select all, copy, shift paste, copy, shift paste, copy, shift paste, copy, shift paste. There we go. Now we go to jump left down. I'll go ahead and add a whole character frame to this anyway. And we'll rename this right_down. And then copy, shift paste, copy, shift paste, copy, shift paste, copy, shift paste. Let's go ahead and save these two. Also, like, okay, what does this do? Fake user save this data block even if it has no users. Yeah. Yeah, so what this does is basically save the action as its own thing. So I can use it for other models and whatnot. At least I think that's how it works. I'm not sure. I literally started using Blender like a few weeks ago, so you'll have to bear with me. Okay. Finally, let's go to jump left land. Create a new action. Rename it to jump right_land. And do the same process. Copy, shift, paste. Copy, shift, paste. Copy, shift, paste. Copy, shift, paste. Oh. Copy, shift, paste. Copy, shift, paste. Copy, shift, paste. Woo. And now we have one recovering from the right. Except we can't have it exactly like this because the idle pose is the wrong way. So what we're actually going to do, we're going to copy, shift, paste this again. And let's see. I'm actually going to take out this keyframe here. And then on this keyframe, we'll lift up this foot. And there we go. I'll also add a whole keyframe onto here. Save that, save it. And there we go. We now have both left and right jump animations that are completely original. Okay, yawn. Gonna hydrate. Make sure to keep hydrated, everybody. Always be drinking water. You need that for your system. Don't be drinking soda all the time. Soda's good, but it's not good for you all the time. You need some water in you. Don't ever forget. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna shut my door real quick, see if that blocks out some of the background noise. I apologize for that. My roommate loves to be quite loud whenever he streams, which is good, I might add. I mean, he needs to be energetic. And I appreciate him being energetic because he's a lot more energetic than I could ever be. Yeah. He's a cool dude. He really deserves everything that he's getting. Both good and bad. No, he's fine. Okay, where were we? We need to create one going straight upwards. So I'm going to actually start with jump forwards up. Or, well, yeah. I'm going to start with jump forwards up. Create a new one off of this. And call it jump upwards underscore up. And it's going to be very similar to this. The only difference is the kind of the angle at which everything's going to be. What I mean by that is instead of his momentum carrying him forwards, it's going to be carrying him up. So everything is going to be pretty much straight, which means we actually need to lift up this a little higher. Let's realign his hips. There we go. Just realign these for right now. Okay. And with that, we are going to start. Yeah, keep on with the process that we know and love. Good old boiling. I just thought of something. So, I understand that this stream isn't the most exciting. Heck, it's probably not the most watchable thing. So I'm wondering if maybe I should have some kind of other thing going on in the background as I'm working. I mean, obviously there are like chat games that can happen, but can't really play those with one person. So I don't know. There needs to be some kind of thing, like some kind of animation or some kind of thing that's playing in the background. Maybe I could do a split screen thing or something where I record myself playing something and kind of just have that be playing in the background. That wouldn't really work though. I don't know. I'll think about it. Because at the same time, I like how this stream is so chill. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks that. Okay, that first one is way too long. There we go, that'll do. Have you guys, this is a little random, but have you guys seen the new Disney Plus series WandaVision yet? Dude, I recently was watching it. Well, or okay, I shouldn't say recently, it was like last week. When the first 2 episodes came out, I decided to watch it. And it was really interesting. I'm not going to spoil anything for those of you who want to watch it, but I love how it takes this like old like 70s style sitcom that's all black and white and whatnot, but has these like weird Marvel characters in it. What's great is that the show totally embraces it and it actually writes the story very well based around that. So it's very cool in that way. I kind of think of the Marge Simpson meme. I just think it's neat. It is a neat show. I was smiling for most of the time as I was watching it because it is a very enjoyable show. Okay, so for this one, we're actually going to be taking jump forwards down. I'll be working kind of with that. Jump upwards down. As always, take out these three first. Alright, now let's work with this. You need to be up here. You still need to be over here. I don't think there's ever a time in which that thing should be actually behind. Let's bring you in a bit. There we go. Nice and easy. I always like to say this, but as always, thank you to the one person who is watching my streams. Whoever you are, whether I know you or not, thank you for tuning in and sticking around for a little while. I actually noticed today we had 2 viewers at one point, which was a good surprise, a nice surprise. It's always so weird. I see one person in the chat for most of the time, and I always worry that it's me, but most of the time it is a person that is not me. Yeah. You know what I should do? I'm going to look up just a quick icebreakers or questions. Here, hold on. Questions to answer while you stream. I don't know. These are just questions that you should ask for. Okay. I'm literally looking up things to talk about as you stream. Chat with friends on Discord, invite people you know, network with streamers who talk on stream, engage with your chat, narrate what you are doing on stream. Well, you know, I do that a lot. Talk about your day-to-day life, plan your content ahead of time, talk about products that you love. Here, let's do video game questions. Perfect. 50 fun questions about video games to ask your friends. So yeah, let's just let's go through these, shall we? Okay, and I'm actually going to copy this and put it into our fun little notepad here. Except, oh wait. Okay, they're all here. That's good, that's good. Let's go ahead and give it a word wrap so we know what we're doing. Um, let's just move this to the side. There we go. Now we have a good little setup going. Okay, so question number 1. What's your favorite game of all time? Now, see, this is a tricky one. I know, first question of the day, and it's a super tricky question. Okay, those poses are not very good. Okay, let's try this again. So, favorite game of all time, I have mentioned this before at one point, but my favorite game of all time is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is that now you might think that it's because this game is super new, and I'm just one of those guys who likes whatever game has come out recently. However, you know, obviously I would say that isn't true. No, I really like Breath of the Wild, because I do think that it is one of the greatest games that we have currently. Now, if you want to talk about, you know, best of their time or whatever, then we have a different story. But the other thing is, my history with video games is quite interesting, in that I didn't really play many video games. I mean, I did. I would say I've been a gamer for most of my life, but I wasn't really into video games until I was in college, I would say. The first console I ever bought for myself was the Wii U, and I had a lot of fun with that. It was also the first console that I bought my own games for, because I was actually starting to make a decent amount of money, or at least enough money to buy games every now and again. But then the Switch was the first console that I had when I was like really truly independent and was making enough money that I could just basically have whatever games I wanted if I saved up enough money for it. And so the Switch was really kind of my gateway into all of video games. It was also around the time that I had first gotten my first PlayStation, being the PlayStation 4. Yeah, for some reason I thought the naming was off a bit. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask by talking and animating at the same time, but I'm not used to doing that yet. Okay, so we want to make a new one of this. But yeah, so Breath of the Wild is really cool because it's one of those games that, you know, if you believe that you can do it, then you probably can in whatever situation that you are in. It is a combination of an adventure game, a sandbox game, an action game, just a bunch of other things, and it's one of the few games in my life that I really truly do wish I could play again for the first time, because discovering all of the little secrets that it had, things that, you know, nobody ever talks about in any of the Nintendo Directs or E3 presentations or whatever, that was stuff that I discovered on my own, and it really made me feel like a kid again, trying to like find all these new and interesting things and figure out what was going on. And even if there was nothing to it, sometimes, you know, there's a spot in the world where there's just a giant sword sticking out of the ground for no reason. Like, I don't know why it's there. I don't think a lot of people know why it's there. Theorists do, but, you know, they're theories. But, like, it's so cool. And yeah, I could go on about it, but I do kind of want to move on with the questionnaire, so to speak. So, question 2. What's a game you thought you'd like, but actually hated? Ooh. I mean, I could go with the meme answer and say Cyberpunk, but I don't really like to talk about that right now. I'll just mention this. I think that it became a trend to hate Cyberpunk, no matter how good or bad it actually was. I do think it was overhyped, and I do think they've severely underdelivered, and I do think they deserve a lot of what they're getting. But that game will eventually be good. At least I hope so. If CD Projekt Red is at all to be trusted at this point, which, you know, some people don't, but if they are at all to be trusted, then it will eventually become a good game. I'd say within the year. Until then, I have not touched the game since launch, because I'm waiting for that moment when I can play the game and have it run fairly well. However, I have a different story to tell about this. And that story, I probably shouldn't have taken off my keyframes. Oh well. And that story is about Star Fox 64 3D. Now, Star Fox 64 was a great game for me growing up. It was like one of my favorite games, and it was a game that I didn't often get to play. My parents did own a Nintendo 64. However, the games that I played most often on that console was Donkey Kong 64 and Mario Party 2. Now, of course, at the time, because I was a kid, I had no idea what, you know, a good game was considered or whatever. So, like, it was funny when I grew up to learn that Donkey Kong 64 is actually a game that is very widely hated because of all its collectibles, when in fact, that's one of the reasons that I enjoyed it so much, was because there was so much to do. And, like, you were able to do all these things for so long. But Star Fox 64 was a game that one of my best friends owned. And every time that I would go over to their house, we'd probably end up either playing it or Smash Brothers, which, yeah, is probably where I got my love for Smash Brothers from. I'm gonna make it lean forward just a bit more. There we go. So I played it a lot as a kid, and it was, you know, pretty difficult, and we only got about halfway. Never actually beat the game. But as I got older, as I learned more about video games and I started watching Nintendo Directs and whatnot, it became a thing for me. Well, okay, it was around the time that the 3DS like first got not announced, but like it was when the 3DS was first like a thing, so to speak. And Nintendo Directs for it were actually coming out fairly regularly. And Star Fox 64 3D was, of course, announced. And it was one of the first times that I truly experienced a need for experiencing nostalgia, which I'm sure a lot of gamers are familiar with. And the day that it came out, I was so excited to play it. But for whatever reason, I had gotten busy that day. And like, my parents were either busy with something or something happened. I'm not entirely too sure. Yeah, that's fine. If anything, I can bring this down a bit more. Okay. And so I wasn't actually able to play it until that night when it was like bedtime for me. And I was kind of bummed that I wasn't going to be able to play it until the next day. So I decided to play it that night, kind of in my bed as I was going to sleep. And I stayed up so late playing that game, it actually got to the point where I began to hate it, which is a weird thing, because like it was just at a poor time. I didn't really want to stay up, and like I remember specifically like being so upset at myself for doing this to myself, like staying up later and continuing to play even though I didn't really care that much about it and it wasn't even that good. Like I specifically remember telling myself it wasn't even that good. Like that's what I remember from that night. And probably from then on, I would say I've always been a little more careful about how I first experience a game and how, like, I can wait to properly experience a game if need be. Because, like, it's not extremely necessary for somebody to experience a game once it comes out, especially if you are busy that day. The only thing that could possibly get in the way of that is just other life things, or rather people spoiling things, and if you are that into social media that you look the next day and you are experiencing spoilers or whatever, then okay, yeah, I can see why you would want to experience the game a little earlier than that. Okay. Yep, that's probably fine. We just need to retime some stuff. Okay, and now let's move this over here. And there we go. Cool. Save and save. Okay. And with that, we now have all of our jump animations done. Woo! Wow. That's nice. Okay, let's see. Should I work on anything else? I got 30 more minutes. What's on the list? What's on the list? So, oh yeah, the different walk cycles. Heck. Oh, we don't even have a normal walk cycle. That's right. I'm gonna wait on that because I would like a reference for it. Did all the jumping. I'll wait on the wall jumps and wall runs and stuff. Yeah, I think a lot of other stuff I kind of need references for. Except maybe implementing a block. So let's do that. Yeah, let's just create something new and just delete all of this. Actually, hold on, don't delete all of it. Delete all but this. This is going to be just a simple transition into shielding. Okay, in the meantime, question number 3. What's a really popular game everyone seems to love but you don't like? Ooh. I mean, the easy answer here is Fortnite. And like, okay, it's not that I dislike the game, I just can never get into it. And I also think there are better battle royales out there. I think it's a good battle royale. I like it as a battle royale, but I think there are much better battle royales out there. Or rather, I think that the concept of a battle royale can be done a lot better than it is with Fortnite. So that's the easy answer. A little more complicated answer would probably be any of the Muso or Warrior style games. And I've kind of talked about my reasoning for this before, but I don't think that giving the player a power fantasy should be as easy as it is in Muso style games. It's not that I should say it's not that I disagree with their design. I just don't like it personally. And I'm also the kind of guy that actually enjoys playing stuff like Dark Souls and whatnot. Not for long periods of time, admittedly. I do like challenge to come easy to me most of the time. But it really does depend. Okay, let's fix up this pose, actually. Come on. So yeah, that would probably be the a little more difficult answer, or the more specific answer is Muso games. Let's move on to the next question. What's a game you didn't expect to enjoy but ended up liking? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Oh goodness, I'm not sure. I have to think about this. Hold on. Goodness. Didn't expect to enjoy? See, that's a difficult one, because that implies that I got a game that I expected to not enjoy. Like, so that would mean like either a free game of some kind, or a game that I accidentally purchased, or a game that I bought thinking that it was good but turned out to actually be bad, but then later on I figured that it was actually pretty good. Okay, this is a bit of a caveat, and it kind of subverts the question a bit, but in all honesty, there is a game that I very much enjoy. There we go. That should do. And I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I actually enjoyed it. And that game is good old Dead by Daylight. For those of you who don't know, Dead by Daylight is an asymmetric horror game, an asymmetric multiplayer horror game, whatever you want to call it, where one person plays as the killer and 4 players play as the survivors. And the killer is trying to kill the survivors, and the survivors are trying to escape by repairing generators and escaping. And opening up the exit gates, which are powered by the generator. Anyway, and like, I originally got the game through PS Plus, which is a service that allows you to get like 3 free games every month for a subscription fee of like $25 every 3 months. It also allows you to play online, so it's kind of necessary. So I got that game, and I played a couple of rounds of it, and my initial thoughts were, ooh, this is a nice little horror game. And I didn't think too much of it. You know, like, oh, you get different abilities and whatnot, and you go around, and it's this very intense thing. And it was nice that you could actually play as the killer, and the killer wasn't just some AI opponent that you would have to go up against, because you know that there would be games out there that would just do that and call it good. And then as I started playing, I realized more and more that there's something special with this game. And like, it's, I'm not exactly sure exactly what it was, but I ended up liking it a lot more than I did. To the point where I still play to this day. Heck, it was one of the first games that I streamed. It's something that I've put more time into than a lot of other games, like second to Smash Brothers, and I play Smash Brothers a lot. Like, let's say I put around maybe 500 hours into Smash, maybe 400, something around there. I've put a lot of time into it, even though my Switch might not say it because I use my roommate's console a lot. But DBD, I've put in well over 200 hours. And the only thing under that comes anywhere close is Breath of the Wild, which is like just over 100 hours, which you have to realize, I play a lot of games. I do not play any single game for a long period of time, because my third most played game is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I've only put over 100 hours in. And also Persona 5. I've put over 100 hours in Persona 5. But that's just because you need to put that many hours into the game in order to beat it, which is pretty great. But those are like the only games that I can think of in recent memory that I've put over 100 hours into, which I have learned is not actually a lot in gamer terms. Like, when you think of it as a complete outsider, it's like, whoa, 100 hours, that's crazy. But it's not a lot for gamers, which I've always found to be a bit crazy. Okay. So the nice thing about this block is that I only need to make it once, because him putting it down is just the reverse of this animation of doing this. And I may actually move him a bit when it actually comes time, but for now this is good. You know what, let's go ahead and make the block hit animation. Block underscore hit. And I'm actually going to make this 8 frames. Then we'll have an in-between of him getting hit. Which will just be to move down a bit here. Yep. Rotate a bit back. Oh, yeah, there we go. Oof, oof, oof. If anything, we need to move this a little closer so it's more like oof, oof, oof. A little closer. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question. What game have you spent the most amount of hours on? Oh, well, I've actually already answered this, and it's definitely Smash Brothers. And a lot of that is actually from the past couple of years, because my roommate is like, he's wanting to be a professional Smash player. And so and I already liked Smash Brothers. I played it every now and again just on my spare time or whatever. But he was the one that really got me into like professional Smash Brothers, where, you know, you're striving to get better and whatnot. So, yeah, definitely that. So let's actually answer the next one. If you had to marry the last video game character you played, who would it be? Well, this is kind of awkward. Okay, because I'm straight, I'm going to think of the last female character that I played as. Just cause. Because otherwise I'd be married to freaking Agent 47 from Hitman. Which, I mean, that's a bit spicy, but okay. The last female character that I played as, oh goodness, I honestly don't know. I'd have to check through what I've played recently. Yeah, if anybody, it's nothing too special or anything. So let's just go on. If you had to live in the world of the last game you played, what world would it be? Well, unfortunately, because the last game that I played last night was Hitman, I would basically be in the same world, except it's run by a secret government or whatever. So that's kind of boring. Have you ever had a crush on a video game character? Ooh, yeah. Nothing too major or whatever, but okay, so if you've ever heard of the game The Last of Us, the first one of that, I definitely had a small crush on Max, who's like the nerdy like photographer in that game, and is the person you play as. Yeah, I loved seeing that story. Also, just them, yeah, just everything that happened in that story was glorious, and it's one of the few games that has actually like made me cry. It's very good. Let's answer the last one here. What was the first game you ever remember playing? Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is a good question. Yeah. Okay. So I'm okay. First off, I'm going to at least get started on the parry, and I'll answer the question as I kind of work on that. That is not what I need to do first. Block hit. Oh, you blockhead. Parry. Okay, so from here we need to do kind of the parry, so it needs to be like going out, or like, yeah, okay. Yes, I am motioning with myself. Okay, so The first game I ever remember playing. So this one's interesting because So the first console that I ever remember playing and actually remember the name of was the Nintendo 64, which I still think is a great console, or was. Gosh, we are like breaking his arm now. Also, I just realized that we're not quite doing this right. Oh, I did this backwards. Okay, so but the first console that I actually remember ever playing was the Super Nintendo. However, at the time, I didn't even know that it was called a Super Nintendo. I just knew it as the game console that I had. I need to copy this one again. Bring it over here. And okay, so, but even then, there's a few games that I remember playing back in my childhood. And some of them were on the Super Nintendo, some of them were actually on the PC. And of course, you know, back then, PC games weren't like crazy good because nobody had like good PCs. But I'd probably say the first game that I remember. This is kind of a weird pick, but it was this Pac-Man game for the PC. And actually, because I'm curious enough about it, I'm going to look it up real quick. Let's see, what it would be called. Pac-Man PC game, 1990s. List of Pac-Man video games. Oh, those are arcade games, home console. Was it this one? No. Pac-Man Adventures in Time? Was that it? The basic objective of each level is to guide Pac-Man through a maze while eating dots, yada yada. Yo, this might be it. I wonder if I can find a video of it. Oh gosh. Yeah, this might be it. Maybe. It was something like that. Okay. But yeah, some kind of PC Pac-Man game is the first game that I remember playing, to put it shortly. Okay, to kind of end off this animation, I'm going to extend this for a few and then just bring it back in. There we go. And the idea is that there's supposed to be like a sound effect kind of thing that's like ching, ch, or something like that. Ching, shit, something like that. Something like that, anyway. Okay. Save. Good. Look at all the animations we've made so far. Ain't this great? We're on our way, boys. Okay, to end off this stream, because we only have a few minutes left, I'm going to answer one more question from this list, just because I find this to be kind of fun. Have you ever pretended to be sick to get out of something so you could play a game? Unfortunately, not that I can remember. I know that's a thing that a lot of kids did. I never really pretended to be sick. I think I tried to do it maybe once, but I never got away with it, and so I just never tried again. I was a pretty goody two shoes kid for like a long time. What's the next one? What game did you last complete? Persona, actually, or Persona 5, yeah, and I completed that last year. And that was a long time coming, actually, because I first started playing that game. Okay, so here's the timeline of things. The Persona 5 first came out, if you'll give me a second. Persona 5 first came out in spring of 2017. I mean, Wikipedia will tell you it came out in 2016, which is technically true, but the Western release for it wasn't until 2017, because, you know, they had to make the dub for it and everything. So that game came out in spring of 2017, and my roommate in college actually played that game super quickly, and finished it in like late summer-ish, so that by the time that we went back to college, and I was in college at the time, he was basically done with it, and he instantly wanted me to play it. And so he let me use his PS4 and his copy of the game, and every now and again we would just sit down and play some more of it. And over the course of the rest of my college years, I started to go more through it. And I would take it home. And at one point, my roommate actually gave me his PS4, and he got the PS4 Pro. And he let me borrow his copy of Persona 5. From there, I continued to play it over the summer one year, and I got pretty dang far. But it wasn't until this past year in 2020 that I actually had enough time to sit down and beat the darn thing. And the thing about Persona 5, and especially about Persona 5 Royal, I have not gotten to that point yet, is that it is long. and not only is it long, but it is longer than you think it is. Anytime that you think that the game is going to be over, there's one more thing to do. And it's only really until, you know, you are like definitely sure that everything is done and everything is complete and all like the biggest boss is defeated, that's when the game is over. Which is great, honestly. Like, it's honestly really nice to have the game continue for so long, but the unfortunate thing is, because I was trying to beat the game and not to enjoy the game, One of the last dungeons of that game, I just sped run through because I just wanted to get through it. So I didn't really take my time with it, as I probably should have, but well. Anyway, so yeah, that is the I'll end it on that. That is the end of this stream, guys. Thank you for coming in and taking time out of your day, or at least spending some of your day with me. I truly do appreciate that. If you want to find out when I am streaming next, I do have my schedule posted in like Twitch under schedule. But basically, it's every weekday from 12 to 2 Central Time. So every day for 2 hours in mid-afternoon. And I will be missing out on next week on Wednesday, but that's about it. Otherwise, I stream pretty regularly. A lot of times it's Splendor, but if I ever want to take a break, I usually show off a game of mine. And yeah, hit that follow and that bell, boy. And obviously, tell your friends about it. And if you think of anyone who would want to come in and chill and hang out and just have a good time, listening to lo-fi and hear my luxurious voice talk to them, yeah, I would sure appreciate it. And with that being said, I will... one more thing, actually. I post my archives of these streams onto YouTube. I forgot to do yesterday's, but I'll probably do that as soon as I can. Look up Strawberry Games Dev on YouTube, and it should be a very similar logo to this on my hoodie here. I upload all of my archives there, so if you miss a stream, you can go there and check it out. With that being said, I will see y'all in the next stream. I'll leave the music up for you guys to listen to for a little while. And you all have a good day. Bye.
you.